Sorry, guys.
All right. Thanks for the heads up. All right.
Thanks for being here, folks.
Thank you.
Good to see you. You're not frozen yet? Okay, good.
It's a bit frosty.
Not for the Minister of Labour.
All right. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming today. I'm Subo Sinathambi, OPG's Chief Project Officer, and welcome. I tell you, this is a very exciting day for us here at OPG, and we're so glad that you're all able to be here to join us. Before we get started, it's important that we note that the Pickering Nuclear Generating Station is situated on the lands and waters in the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. The lands are covered by the Gunshot Treaty and the Williams Treaties, and the Gunshot Treaty rights, including the rights to hunt, harvest, and fish, were reaffirmed in 2018 by Canada and the province of Ontario. Ontario Power Generation respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations maintain a culture and spiritual presence within these lands and the waters that touch them. They continue to protect and care for them to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. As a company, OPG is committed to pursuing a path of reconciliation through education and learning and the treaties and about the treaties and the history of colonization in Canada. OPG's Reconciliation Plan was launched in 2021. It embodies our commitment to strengthening our relationships with Indigenous communities, including the Williams Treaties First Nation. Through this, we'll build a mutually beneficial and sustainable future via proactive community engagement and increasing opportunities for collaboration and economic participation. While we recognize that we still have much work to do, we remain steadfast in our efforts and commitment to progressing on our reconciliation journey. Thank you. And with that, I would now like to welcome the Honourable Todd Smith, Ontario's Minister of Energy, to share the announcement.
Thanks very much, Subo, and to the great team here at OPG Pickering. It's great to be back here with you, and great to be here with a number of my colleagues, including the local MPP, who happens to be the Minister of Finance, Peter Bethlenfalvy, announcing another part of our government's plan for Ontario's clean energy future. Before I begin, again, I want to thank Ken and Subo and all 4,500 staff who work here at Pickering Nuclear Generating Station for hosting us today. And I'm also really pleased to see so many other colleagues and friends out for today's event in a chilly weather, including Minister of Labour Training and Skills Development, a guy who doesn't need a top coat, David Piccini. The Minister of Public and Business Service Delivery, Todd McCarthy, as well, another member from Ontario's clean energy capital, the Durham region. MPP Patrice Barnes joining us today, the MPP for Ajax, and from the great riding of Whitby, MPP Lauren Coe, a great stalwart in the fight for expanded nuclear. Mayor of Pickering, Kevin Ash, is with us today, Kevin, and it's great to see you again, Your Worship. Well, you have a lot of staff in Pickering. The president of the Power Workers Union, Jeff Parnell, a great partner as well, and president of the Society of United Professionals, Michelle Johnson, joins us today. And the tallest freestanding emergency room doctor in Ontario, Chris Kiefer, is here as well. He happens to be the president of Canadians for Nuclear Energy. And Chris, always great to see you. You can pick him out of a crowd anywhere. There's so many more other people here, I won't be able to name them all, but thanks for coming. And I should say, every time I do an energy announcement, it seems like the man with the hat is here, David Butters. Today, he's not wearing his Panama hat. He's wearing a more weather-appropriate toque today. But David from APRO, the Association of Power Producers of Ontario, great to see you, sir. A fact which I'm sure comes as no surprise to anybody here is just how quickly our province is growing. Since coming into office back in 2018, Premier Ford and our team have cut red tape. We've made energy more affordable in the province. It's easy to remember, actually, when the previous Liberal government presided over the fastest rising hydro prices in North America. Under their watch, the average hydro bill tripled between 2003 and 2018, and families saw their bills increase by more than $1,000 per year. And that's why we've done things differently since day one. We scrapped the previous Liberal government's cap-and-trade carbon tax that pushed people and businesses out of our province. And unlike the new Liberal leader and early supporter of that carbon tax, we've never raised a tax on the backs of people and business in Ontario. We've actually lowered taxes, and now as a result of lower taxes and a better business environment, businesses and job creators are making historic investments in Ontario. That's a big change from when sky-high electricity costs chased 300,000 manufacturing jobs out of our province. But it doesn't stop there. As our economy grows, so is our population. Ontario is on pace to welcome more than 5 million people over the next decade. And our government is building at least 1.5 million new homes by 2031 to meet that rising demand. With all that growth comes new energy needs. And luckily, Ontario is already home to one of the cleanest electricity grids in the world and one of the most resilient, in large part thanks to the diversity of our energy supply. Under our plan to power Ontario's growth, we've taken a pragmatic approach that leverages every part of our energy sector to support our growth. From nuclear to hydroelectric, natural gas to renewable resources. But it's our nuclear stations like the Pickering Nuclear Generation Station behind me that are the workhorses of our grid. In fact, in a typical year, 14% of Ontario's electricity is produced just at this one station behind me. And while the previous Liberal government was happy to plan for the complete shutdown of this facility, and the NDP once said their first order of business would be to shut down the Pickering Nuclear Generating Station and kill 4,500 good-paying jobs here in the Durham region, our government has been and will continue to be a steadfast supporter of nuclear energy and all the workers who keep the lights on 365 days a year, or this year, 366 days a year. Today's announcement is a really important example of the trust we have in the staff that work here at OPG and the importance of nuclear energy to our province's future. And today, I'm pleased to announce that our government is supporting Ontario Power Generation's plan to refurbish the Pickering Nuclear Generating Station. Okay, so that's a hit. That's good news. Our government knows and our province still needs this station and its workers. And this refurbishment, effectively a major overhaul of 4 of the generators, is going to have a huge impact. Once completely refurbished, the station will produce 2,000 megawatts of safe, reliable, and clean electricity. That's enough to power 2 million homes, helping to power the next major international investment, and we know they're going to keep on coming. The new homes that we're building, and industries as they continue to grow and expand and electrify in our province. And not just that, during construction, this project will create about 11,000 jobs per year in the province, and during operation, it'll sustain more than 6,000 jobs for decades to come. Those are highly skilled, good-paying jobs in the Power Workers Union, the Society of United Professionals, the building and construction trades, and many other unions. Based on OPG's preliminary schedule, the refurbishment of that station is anticipated to be complete by the mid-2030s, and work will start this year with OPG undertaking the project initiation phase, which includes engineering and design work, as well as securing long lead components that can take years to have manufactured. Ken, I'm looking forward to working with you and the great team here at OPG as this project progresses and we continue to ensure that Ontario has the reliable, affordable electricity that our province needs to grow. So I'll turn it over to you, Ken, to speak a little bit more about the work ahead for OPG on this project.
Thank you, Minister Smith and Minister Bethenthalvey, Mayor Ash, and all our Labour partners and our employees for joining us here today at Pickering Nuclear. For more than 50 years, OPG has been proud to call Pickering home. We now look forward to continuing to generate carbon-free, reliable power at this site for many more decades to power Ontario's future. This is a great day for our employees, the community, and the people of Ontario. And it's the start of something truly momentous for this station, which remains a vital clean energy asset for Ontario. What has really gotten us to this point is the hard work of our employees, many of whom are behind me, both behind literally and in the station, who have pushed Pickering to its best performance in its long history. Last year, the station saw its highest generation output since 2019 and its second highest output as a 6-unit plant. And in 2022, all 6 operating units ran simultaneously for 109 consecutive days, a station record. Yes. This level of excellence doesn't just happen, it takes an unyielding dedication to quality and safety from every single employee. It's because of our people that this station continues to play a valuable role in Ontario's electricity system. And it's because of our people that we now have the opportunity to advance refurbishment of Pickering's units 5 to 8. This is a huge achievement, and I want to thank our employees in attendance here and working inside the plant for their ongoing efforts. In addition to our employees, we have another major advantage to ensuring Pickering refurbishment will be a success, and that is our experience on the Darlington refurbishment and the Bruce Power MCR, which remains on budget and on schedule, and both Bruce Power and ourselves accomplishing a major feat for large infrastructure projects. Over the past 10 years, we have learned a lot about what it takes to refurbish a nuclear station the right way. We have thousands of lessons learned from Darlington and Bruce Power that we will apply to Pickering, and we have mobilized an experienced nuclear workforce. We have a robust nuclear supply chain that is already tooled up and rolling. In short, we have all the tools, talent, and experience to make Pickering refurb as successful as Darlington refurb, and we intend to advance this in a similar manner. In closing, I want to thank again Minister Smith and the province for their continued support of OPG and the confidence in the future of Pickering Nuclear. I also want to thank the residents of Pickering and the entire Durham region for allowing us to continue to be part of your community. The millions of hours of clean power produced here and the millions more to come would not be possible without our neighbours. As we move ahead to the initiation phase of the project, we will continue to work closely with our labour and business partners, the community, and the province. With your ongoing support, I have all the confidence that we will deliver another world-leading nuclear refurbishment on time and on budget for Ontario. Thank you, and it's now my pleasure to welcome the Honourable Peter Bethenthalvey, Member of the Provincial Parliament for Pickering and Uxbridge, to share his remarks.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ken. I really liked that last line, on time and on budget. So you got a few witnesses here, but you know, it's first off, I want to thank Minister Smith again for coming again to Pickering. I mean, you're catching some real frequent flyer points coming here to Pickering, and your leadership in the ministry along with OPG is really outstanding. So I want to thank the minister. All my colleagues are here today. I want to also mention a few other people that didn't get mentioned. Regional Chair Henry, who I saw there, and some of the leaders in the region, and also former Mayor Dave Ryan of Pickering, who led this great city for 20 years, and been a resident for a long time. We wouldn't be here without leadership like people that I just mentioned. And it's really hard not to exaggerate how significant this announcement is today. Not just for the people of Pickering, not just for the people of Durham or Ontario, but really all of Canada. I travel around the world trying to sell Ontario, and one thing they always say is how stable and how great we're doing and how clean an energy grid we have. I've been in Germany, where they have to now fire up coal again because their gas supplies are being restricted. In Japan, 22% of their electricity is coal. A third of the states in the US, coal, to generate their electricity. We are so fortunate that this province has had the vision over generations to know that this is clean, green, good jobs, safe energy for not just this generation. And where's Dr. Kiefer? He's in the back again. Yeah, I got his attention. He's the tallest guy here. When you came and talked to me, you said, this is about your kids and your future generation. So I want to thank people like Dr. Kiefer, who apparently, I was told when I came in today, was doing one of these presentations on the way back. He saw an accident, and because he's a doctor, is this true? Mm-hmm. That you helped save some lives, which is really outstanding. And all I've ever done is balance a budget. So thank you, Dr. Kiefer. I think I've gone off script a little bit here, Todd, but I just want to say how proud I am of all the community members here who, support the great jobs that we have here, the benefits to the community. Ken, you're leading Ontario Power Generation. We're leading not just here in Durham, but like I said, the world. People are beating a path to our door to say, how are we doing it? And we have the Centre for Nuclear Sustainability just up the road. Mayor Ash knows well, and the council know that we are a centre of excellence, not just here in Durham, but in the world. So all paths lead through Pickering, and I'm very pleased at this point to pass it on to the Mayor of Pickering, Kevin Ash. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be here as mayor. I want to introduce my members of council who join me today, and that's Councillor Linda Cook, Councillor David Pickles, Councillor Lisa Robinson, Councillor Mara Nagy, as well as Councillor Shaheen Butt. I also acknowledge the regional chair, the mayor of Clarington, where there's another small nuclear station, the regional chair, John Henry, the deputy mayor of the city of Oshawa, my friend Mr. Chapman, and you also already acknowledged the former mayor, Mayor Ryan. We have an agreement that I'm to call him the former mayor, not the old mayor. We also have our CEO or city manager, Marissa Carpino. Ladies and gentlemen, OPG and Pickering Nuclear stand as pillars of our local economy, serving not only as the largest employer, but also the beacons of stability and progress. Their presence generates high-quality jobs, fuels economic growth, and fosters a sense of pride in our community. The Pickering Nuclear Generating Station, one of the largest of its kind globally, as the minister has pointed out, generates 14% of electricity demands of our province. And it ensures that our homes, our businesses, and our industries across this great province have access to reliable and clean energy. As our city continues to be a leader for growth and welcome new residents and businesses, the demand for energy infrastructure that can keep pace with our growth becomes even more critical. Today's announcement represents a monumental step forward in meeting this demand. The refurbishment of Units 5 to 8 will not only enhance the station's capacity, it will add a staggering 2,000 megawatts to our electricity grid. As the minister pointed out, over 2 million homes across Ontario will be powered. This refurbishment is not only about meeting the current demands, but it's an investment in our future. By expanding the lifespan of Pickering Nuclear for at least another 30 years, we are laying the foundation for continued economic prosperity and growth right here in our great city and across our great province. The creation of thousands of new jobs in Pickering and beyond will invigorate our local economy, while the assurance of clean and reliable energy will attract new businesses, professionals, and skilled employees. On behalf of the City of Pickering, I want to thank President Ken and the team at OPG. OPG have been a valuable community partner in our great city, supporting our events, initiatives, and programming with unwavering commitment. We look forward to continuing our partnership with OPG and the government, and we look forward to building a cleaner, more sustainable community. And with my presence of all my councillors today, I can tell you, Minister, the City of Pickering continues to be a willing host of this great facility. It is my privilege to introduce Jeff Purnell, the President of the Power Workers Union.
Good morning. The Pickering Nuclear Generating Station has been providing Ontario with reliable, clean, carbon-free electricity for almost 50 years. For that same 50 years, thousands of high-quality union jobs in support of the station have been contributing to the economies of the Durham region, Ontario, and Canada. Today's announcement of the refurbishment of 4 generating units at the Pickering station is great news. It will help both Ontario and Canada on the path to net zero carbon emissions as the global community combats climate change brought on by global warming. It will provide the GTA with approximately 2,000 megawatts of much needed emission-free electricity for decades to come. It will also provide good jobs to thousands of skilled construction workers, engineers, maintenance trades, administrative, and operating staff. CANDO nuclear technology has proven to be among the safest and most reliable in the world, and it's made here in Canada. 96% of the equipment needed to refurbish these units will be engineered and manufactured in Canada. The natural uranium that will fuel the station for the next 30 years is mined and processed in Canada. So not only will thousands of jobs be created here in Pickering, but thousands more will be created in more than 240 Canadian nuclear supply chain companies across the province and the country. OPG is an experienced world-class leader in the safe generation of nuclear electricity, and its technical operations and operating licenses are governed by the independent Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission. These station designs are dedicated to safety, and they have the track record to prove it. The highly skilled and highly trained members of the Power Workers Union take tremendous pride in our commitment to the safe operation of the station. We not only work in the station, but we are families who also live in the communities. I would like to thank the federal government for recognizing nuclear power as a green energy source, for creating financial pathways so these projects can be successful. It takes remarkable commitment, cooperation, and hard work to bring large critical infrastructure projects like this one to fruition. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate OPG and the Ontario government for their hard work that made this announcement possible. I would like to especially thank Minister Smith and the Ontario government for its ongoing commitment to making nuclear power as the baseload generation of choice. As Ontarians do our part to achieve the net zero emission targets set out in the Paris Accord. Thank you. I will now turn the mic back over to Minister Smith.
Okay, we'll take some questions from media. Just a reminder, it's one question, one follow-up.
Hi, Megan Fitzpatrick, CBC. Can you just talk a bit about the cost of this project, please?
Yeah, hi, Megan. So what we're starting with is a $2 billion cost that will provide scoping, engineering, design work over the next year or so. Also procurement of long lead assets. There are a number of assets, components that will go into this plant that we'll have to get in line to procure. Some of them take a long while to fabricate and produce. So that's what we're doing right now. We're in the project initiation phase, and like the projects at Darlington, where we're refurbishing there, and also at Bruce Power, and there's been a lot of exchanging of information between Bruce and OPG on refurbishment projects, as Ken indicated in his remarks. We have to do this work first before we determine exactly what the end cost will be, and it's by doing this that we've been able to keep the projects on budget and on schedule, and in some cases far ahead of schedule.
This isn't quite my follow-up, but if you could add a ballpark figure of what a total cost might be, that'd be helpful. And this project is still subject to approval from the federal regulator. So are you still going ahead and spending $2 billion without having that approval? If you can talk a bit about the timeline and the process.
Yeah, we have so much confidence in the team here at OPG on being able to deliver this project, this refurbishment, on time and on schedule. It would be irresponsible at this point in time to put a number out there, because it's this essential design and scoping and engineering work that is going to get us to the place where we can have a number that we can then look at accurately and provide the work the way they are. Maybe I'll turn it over to Ken just to expand on that a little bit further. Megan, Ken?
Sure. On the cost, as the minister said, I think the important part that we've always done is do the planning, do the engineering, do the early works, and then we will come out with both a firm schedule, like we've done at Darlington, and a cost estimate for it, which our shareholder, the province of Ontario, can hold us accountable to. But again, we remain very confident that this will be a very competitive source of energy for the province as we go forward. On the CNSC, the Nuclear Safety Commission, we've been through this before, both the licensing process to operate the plant through to 2026, which we're still working on, but then the refurbishment. We've done this at Darlington. Bruce Power has done it there. So there's a very established and mature regulator that we have to work with, which gives us confidence that that ultimately we'll be in a place that can achieve the necessary regulatory approvals to be successful.
Minister Smith, Richard Southern, City News. How you doing today?
Good, Richard.
I mean, we don't know what it's going to cost, but it's obviously going to be many billions. Why don't you spend this money on wind and solar, which experts say can easily make up the power shortfall from Pickering? Why not do that instead of rebuilding an aging end-of-its-life facility, sir?
Because this is the plan that makes sense. It's as simple as that. What others are saying we should do doesn't make sense for the stability of our grid. We asked OPG to do the feasibility study on what it would potentially cost. We asked the independent electricity system operator, our system manager here in Ontario, when it comes to managing our electricity grid, what would make the most sense. And their comparator was, from refurbishing Pickering. They compared it with building new nuclear. They also compared it to intermittent renewables paired with battery storage. And what they found was this by far made the most sense. This was what was going to be the best bang for the bucks and provide the certainty that ratepayers in the province are looking for. And actually, their analysis went one step further when looking at wind and pairing it with battery storage and what potentially would be required to provide that type of generation to replace the 2,000 megawatts that would come from a refurbished Pickering. And what they found was it would be 18,000 megawatts of wind and 2,000 megawatts of battery. And I want you to think about that. We have 5,000 installed megawatts of wind in our grid right now, which would be an almost 4 times number to put wind up to match what we can get from this small footprint, and it's going to be 100% reliable. As Ken talked about, these plants run 365 days a year. The staff here are amazing, so when it comes to value for ratepayers, it's this. It makes sense.
Well, Why can't you give us a ballpark about what it's going to cost? How can the government say it supports this without knowing what it costs? And if there's any cost overruns, will it be passed on to ratepayers?
Yeah, so what I would say is we have the experience on doing this already, albeit these units are somewhat smaller than the ones that we are talking about at Darlington and Bruce, where we are refurbishing now. Ken talks of the lessons learned, the sharing of information between Bruce Power and OPG. This is the responsible, pragmatic way to move forward to ensure that we have the power that we need. And the independent electricity system operator agrees with that and tells us that this is the best move for us going forward.
Bonjour, Jérémy Bergeron de Radio-Canada. Ma question va être pour le ministre des Finances ici. En quoi c'est important pour l'économie de l'Ontario d'investir massivement comme ça dans l'énergie nucléaire? Est-ce qu'on peut s'attendre à davantage d'investissements dans le nucléaire au cours des prochaines années?
Sans doute, merci pour la question. C'est très important pour l'économie d'Ontario. Il y a bons emplois, mais en plus, l'économie verte, c'est très important. Alors, pour l'avenir, pour l'économie, pour les emplois, les travailleurs, les travailleuses en Ontario, c'est très, très important.
Vous avez quand même besoin vous avez besoin de l'aval du fédéral, de la commission de sûreté là, canadienne. Est-ce que vous avez bon espoir qu'on va l'obtenir et est-ce qu'on va investir des milliards de dollars quand même sans avoir l'aval en ce moment de cette commission?
Comme Monsieur le ministre Smith répond à cette question en anglais, nous avons confiance dans le process. Nous avons confiance avec l'équipe Ontario Power Generation. En plus, nous avons confiance parce qu'on a déjà fait beaucoup de ça pendant 50, 60 ans dans le domaine nucléaire. Merci.
Minister Smith, Matt McLaren with the Globe and Mail. I wanted to ask you, sir, what are the practical and monetary consequences of having left the decision this late in the station's life to extend its life?
Well, I think the longer you leave big projects like this to sit mothballed or not move forward with them is only going to drive the costs up. But you got to keep in mind the context of the time that we were living in. The Liberal government, as I mentioned earlier, had driven 300,000 manufacturing jobs out of our province. Electricity demand was flat or decreasing. You know, we're now in a place in Ontario because of all of the investments we've seen, whether it's electric vehicle battery plants in Windsor and St. Thomas and Loyalist Township near Napanee, or electric vehicle platforms at all of the major OEMs, or electric arc furnaces at our steelmaking facilities, and the growth in population in our province. We're now seeing electricity demand rise in Ontario for the first time in 18 years, which requires us to build this out. We're taking a very business-like approach to running this government to ensure that we're continuing to build the province, building new businesses, building new homes, and so we need the electricity. The previous government, unfortunately, did a terrible job in running businesses out of the province, so it's a different time now than it was previously. They also, I should point out, instead of going with something that is a secure, reliable 365-day-a-year option, they were putting intermittent renewables all over the province at well over the market price of electricity, creating an unstable grid, which drove even more manufacturers out of our province. So, we're getting those important foundational pieces right. We've got the largest energy storage procurement out in the field now in Canadian history, which is going to allow us to make those intermittents that are on the grid work better to provide a more stable and reliable grid for new investment.
Thank you for that. I understand that we're not going to get a solid number here today, but what have you been told about how the price will cost on a per megawatt hour basis or whatever to previous refurbishments that have already gone forward?
Yes.
Darlington.
Yeah. So what I would say is, and the independent electricity system operator indicated this earlier, it makes sense to move forward with this. Conference Board of Canada did reports as well earlier that talked about this making more sense, refurbishing Pickering Nuclear Generating Station, because it was going to end up being a better rate for the electricity customer at the end of the day. So we feel confident that the team is going to be able to deliver on that our system operator, the IESO, has also indicated that this is better bang for the buck and provides better certainty for ratepayers going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Hi, Minister.
Hi, Alison.
I'm wondering if today's announcement moves you any closer to a firm commitment on moratorium phase out of natural gas.
Well, I think at this point in time, we're going to need all generation that we have, and we're very fortunate in this province to have a diverse mix of generation. I don't know that it moves us towards that any quicker, but what it does is ensure that we'll be able to accommodate the growth that we're seeing in the province.
Just had one question for Minister Bethlen Falvey as well.
In English or in French?
English. You joked earlier, I think it was a joke, that all you've ever done is balance a budget. To my memory, I don't think any of your budgets so far have been balanced. Was that a budget leak?
No.
Is this one going to be balanced?
Okay, you think you might have a big scoop here. No, in 2021, the public accounts, we had a $2.1 billion surplus. So that continues to be our goal to, you can't run deficits in perpetuity. You can't, most people know a household or a business or even a municipality, you have to have your revenues at some point have to be greater than your expenses so that you can respond to, shocks to the system like we had in COVID. So that you can keep the standard of living high for everybody and that you can be prepared to make the generational type investments that we're talking about here today. So sorry to disappoint you, but it wasn't a scoop.
Instead.
No budget leak.
That Alison Jones, she doesn't miss a thing, does she? Hanging on your every word, Peter.
Hi, Lorenda Redekop with CBC. This is going to take a long time, 11 years. What are you going to be doing in the meantime to make up for that loss in electricity at a time when, as we know, electricity demands are increasing?
Yeah, so we've had a number of different programs that we've announced through Powering Ontario's Growth back in the summer. We have competitive procurements that are underway now. As I mentioned earlier, the largest battery storage procurement is underway to ensure that we're making better use of the renewables that we do have on the grid to dispatch, make those dispatchable at times when we actually need the power, not like now where they're spinning at times when we don't need them, or on months like January. And I was listening to the radio on the way in and they were saying we've had 72 hours of sunshine in January, so we're not getting very much from our solar powered facilities that we have installed right now. But the battery storage will allow us to do that. We've got competitive procurements that are out in the field right now, which is the very, very different way of doing business than the previous Liberal government that paid through the feed-in tariffs in the Green Energy Act over market prices for electricity. We also have announced the small modular reactors, which we're very proud to say OPG is building as we speak right now at the Darlington facility. The first small modular reactor is going to be coming online in 2028 and providing electricity in 2029 to our grid. And we're not just building one there. We're going to build 4 SMRs at the Darlington site. We announced as well that we're moving forward on putting 400 megawatts of additional new nuclear at the Bruce Power Facility. We're also in the process of examining long-duration storage and potentially adding long-duration storage to the grid. And we're also in the market now when it comes to adding new non-emitting generation with a procurement that's going to add an additional 2,000 megawatts. But that's going to come after we get those energy storage facilities online so we can make the system work efficiently for the good of all electricity customers in Ontario. So there's a lot of wheels in motion. Plus, I should add that we are in the process right now of expanding our conservation demand management program, which is the energy efficiency programs that will require less electricity. And as the system operator, the ISO always likes to say, the cheapest power plant to build is the one you don't have to build. And by conserving energy in the new conservation demand management programs, we'll be able to reduce the amount of electricity that we're needing as well. So there's a lot of things going on the energy file these days.
given that the cheapest plant that you have is the one you don't have to build, your government did cancel those green energy projects when it came to power. Are you kind of kicking yourself now?
No, not at all. We would cancel those projects again, given the opportunity. Those were way over market price. They were terrible contracts that were signed by the Liberal government, and we're still bearing the cost of those projects now. We would do it all over again. It was just backwards the way that the previous government operated. What they should have done was built out the storage, which is what we're doing now to accommodate adding renewables, but we're doing it in a competitive way. Those intermittent non-emitting generators will come online after the energy storage facilities are built. So they brought in a very ideological approach to managing the grid, which made it unmanageable for businesses in our province. I was the Minister of Economic Development in 2018, our first year in government, when we saw and heard from all of the auto manufacturers that this was the most uncompetitive jurisdiction in North America to build cars. What we've done is solidified and provided a reliable electricity grid at a cost that's predictable, and as a result we're seeing multi-billion-dollar investments in our province again in the auto sector, EV platforms, EV battery plants, electric arc furnaces. No one ever would have considered those things if we hadn't brought some stability to the electricity sector.
Hi, Siobhan Morris, CTV. Minister Smith, you can take this. Minister Bethlen Falvey, it'd be good to hear from you on this too. We just learned that the Supreme Court of Canada will on Friday deliver its decision about the government's attempt to keep mandate letters under seal. I'm wondering how the government's feeling about its argument and its determination to keep those secret at this point.
I thought the mandate letters were already... Let Peter take that one.
Minister of Energy and Minister of Finance on mandate letters. No, we're going to have to review all that. I mean, we've been pretty clear. The Premier's pretty clear. Those are captured by cabinet confidentiality, and we haven't wavered from that position.
And can you remind viewers, as this decision is coming up on Friday, why it is the government's position that these things should not be out in the open, that the people don't necessarily need to know what the direction is, your marching orders are as Minister representing the people of Ontario?
Yeah, I'd almost have Todd Smith, Todd McCarthy as a lawyer on this. I mean, the principles of cabinet confidentiality under a parliamentary democratic system are well tested over a long period of time. It allows for a very robust conversation within cabinet. So we're just going to continue down that path. And frankly, when we ran in 2022 for our re-election bid, we ran on the budget that I tabled on April 27th, I believe, and we went to the people and we ran on that budget. I can't think of a more transparent mandate letter than a 241-page document to say to the people, if you elect us, this is what we will deliver. And we have not wavered. I've been able to have the privilege to table that budget, another budget thereafter, 2 fall economic statements. And stay tuned, we have another budget coming up all along the lines of our plan to build Ontario, of which today's announcement is a very big part of continuing that path to build a strong economy, to build the infrastructure, to have the workers. And thank you to the great workers. I think we should give them a bit. They're standing in the cold. Without them, none of this can happen. So that's how I would respond to your question. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Peter for answering that question, and I answered most of the other ones here today, but I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is a great day for Pickering. It's a great day for our province, and there are so many important participants that are here. Unfortunately, we couldn't identify them all, but Peter, you touched on some of the most important people, and those are the power workers, those are the engineers that are working in these facilities that have given us as policymakers the confidence to move forward on refurbishing, because they've done it already. They've done it at Darlington. They're doing it at Bruce. We're building the small modular reactor. So there's a lot of positives happening in our province right now. The folks from Hydro One are here. I see CEO David Lebeter here. They're building transmission lines ahead of schedule as well that we need to get the power that's produced here from Pickering right across our province. So to everybody that plays a role in our electricity system and our energy energy system here in Ontario, no matter how big or small. Thank you, because we are leading the world here in Ontario. Thanks for coming today.